Hey book friends, welcome back to the channel. And so June was a very interesting book month, and I'm kind of laughing to myself because at the beginning of June I was like, oh, I always struggle in June for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. I'm sure I won't struggle this year. You guys, June was a bit of a struggle, and you know what? I know why. I should know why at least. It's usually because June is the time when I am doing a ton of homeschool prep and planning for my upcoming homeschool year. And that's just where my headspace is. Like, all I want to do is watch YouTube videos and podcasts and read homeschool encouragement books. I get in that mode and I don't want to read anything else. I don't want to listen to anything else. I mean, granted, this month it was not as bad as it could have been because I did a reading challenge at the beginning of the month. I did the Survivor reading challenge through Patreon. I did get kicked off the island kind of halfway through, which was probably a good thing because my book reading wasn't going as well. But I did manage to read 7 books. I'm going to only be sharing 5 of them with you today because 2 of them are for a reading vlog that's coming out shortly. I've mentioned it already. It has to do with the 3K giveaway video that I requested some book recommendations from you guys, and I'm reading some books and I'm, spoiler alert, really enjoying it. But that video will come out in July, so I have some books to chat with you about. Let's just go through my thoughts on this really random stack of books that I read in June. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back, all the things. So like I said, June wrap up. I read 7 books, 5 of which I will be sharing with you. You guys, this is the thing about reading challenges. It often pushes you out of your comfort zone, which can be fun, but I feel like more often than not, it pushes me to read books that maybe aren't my favorite or I'm not sure if I will really like. And so I didn't have any 5 stars in this stack to share with you. It's more of a 3-star, maybe 4-star sort of month, which just has not been my 2024, right? My 2024 has been amazing. You guys, I have really enjoyed my readings so far this year, but irregardless, I did read some books and I want to share my thoughts with you. And the first one I'm gonna start with is a very popular YA fantasy series that I have often seen talked about, recommended in Barnes & Noble. It is the Shatter Me series by Tahara Mafi. Now, this book, it's really interesting. Now, granted, I have a really beautiful edition. My sister spoils me. She gave them to me so I could just pop them on my Pango bookshop, which, you know, it's linked down below always. And I was just gonna do that, and then I was like, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll try it. Now, it was good that I was reading this for a challenge because I was reading this with a group of people who kind of gave me some proper expectations that a lot of people don't love this first book, but the series gets better. Now, I hope that's true because I didn't love this book, but with those expectations, I liked it. I feel like that's where I land. So this is generally about a girl who at the beginning of this book finds herself in prison, and you're trying to work out why. You're trying to work out why her mental health and her headspace is so messed up and she's believing all these things. And it has to do with this idea that when she touches people, it hurts them or it causes them pain. And obviously that would result in a bad childhood, right? Where she just kind of grows up with all these things. And now she's, I feel like a late teenager. I can't even think of how old she is. But she finds herself in this prison, and I won't go further than that. I'm not quite sure what's a spoiler or not, but that's just the general premise, is that when she touches people, she hurts them. Now, setting-wise, this feels very dystopian. Things are bad, the government has taken over, there's kind of rebellion groups, and then there's the government group, right? And the government group is trying to control her, or they're interested in her. Now, this gives me vibes of, say, X-Men, of a group of people with special giftings, if you will. Her character, I didn't love. That's probably what brought this to a 3-star for me, which I don't know if I said that, but I'm giving it a 3-star. I'm giving it a 3-star because of her character, and granted, I knew she was going to be a little bit like this. She's a little unhinged. She is a little bit insane due to circumstances, right? And so I can know that and not be as annoyed with her character, but I still felt like her character was annoying and made the worst decisions in the end. And now there were some other characters kind of around her that I liked better. One of our main male characters I liked better. I felt like he had a little bit more depth, a little bit more personality. I could like his character. And then there seemed to be maybe potentially like a love triangle of some sort. Definitely not in this book, but there's like some hints at that. And you're like, huh, interesting. And so I feel like what I did like is I liked where it ended. I liked the potential of where the series could go based on the end. I feel like I didn't love the progression of this book or the plot in this book so much, but I can understand maybe why it had to go that way, if you will. So 3 stars, Shatter Me. Now I feel like I probably will continue in this series. I have been liking YA fantasy, but of the series I've been picking up, this is more on the lower end for me. Like I enjoyed like Legendborn a whole lot more. Even some of the Cassandra Clare that I've been reading, I liked more. I liked like the Holly Black series way more than this. But I feel like based on what people say, there's a potential. There's a potential to enjoy that more. Now, what else did I read? Oh, I also read this book. I read this for my reading challenge. We were buddy reading this together on Discord, 8 Perfect Martyrs by Peter Swanson. Now this is the book that people will kind of avoid because there are some spoilers for some more classic murder mystery type books, like a couple Agatha Christie's, like Stranger on a Train, and then some more obscure ones that I just never heard about. So I just realized that I would never read this if I held myself to the idea that I want to read the whole backlist so I'm never spoiled for those books. I do enjoy a good Agatha Christie. I was spoiled for one book, which was the ABC Murders, but it's okay. I'm okay. There's more of her books and her work that I can read. But anyway, this is about a man who is a bookseller, and he is approached by like, I think an FBI agent or something that is under the impression that somebody is using a list of his that he put on like a blog post, like the 8 perfect murders, and someone is using that list and actually murdering people. So this FBI agent brings this bookseller in, and he is using him a little bit like an expert. Like, you're an expert in these books and how these plots are developed. Maybe you can bring some extra insight. So that's kind of what it's about. Now, I ended up giving this, I waffled between a 3 and a 4, to be honest. I feel like I ended up at a 3, but it's more of a 3.5. It's the low 3s for me. The things I liked, I found it readable. I found it like I wanted to pick it up. I wanted to see what was going to happen. I found the premise of books really interesting. Like I loved that part. I loved kind of thinking about like all of these different plots and how that could play out. And it made for a fun read. That's what I would call this. This was a fun, exciting read. What I didn't love the ending. Didn't love who did it. I just didn't love how it was left. But when I thought back, I'm like, did I enjoy the reading process? Yes. Was I disappointed? I think it's because I had a vision of how it was going to go. I had a vision of what I was thinking was happening, which I was sharing in Discord, and I was not right. But that's okay. That's okay. So 3 stars for this Peter Swanson book. But I am enjoying Peter Swanson. So that's kind of fun. And now what do I have left? Oh, I have this book. Okay. So I finished the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab by reading A Conjuring of Light. Now, I enjoy this series. Is it my ultimate favorite? No, but I feel like it is a wonderful entry point for fantasy reading. I feel like the cast of characters is small enough to be able to follow, to be invested in these people. Now you have to kind of like the characters, because the general premise of the series, not this book, but the series, is that there are different types of Londons, and they're designated by color, and based on the color is how much magic is in the worlds. The most healthy one being Red London, where one of our main characters of Kel is from, and he is a person who can travel between the Londons, like he has magical giftings. And then we also follow Delilah, or Lila, who's from Grey London, and in the first book she meets up with Kel and kind of gets dragged along on some adventures. Grey London is known for having no magic. And so then they kind of have this thing they need to solve in the first book. Now, what I like about the series as a whole is the characters and the character arcs. I enjoyed where we started with our main characters and some of the side characters that go throughout the whole book, and where they ended up. I feel like their character arc really kind of grew, and I feel like I got more and more attached to the characters. Yes, some people find Delilah very annoying, and I can see that, but I still found her more endearing than annoying, and so I feel like I was able to really enjoy these books. And so I ended up giving this 4 stars. I think I actually gave every book in this series 4 stars. It was enjoyable, it was easy to understand, I was rooting for the characters, I definitely was emotionally attached, and so I feel like it's a solid read. And I will continue on with kind of the new installment because this concludes the original trilogy. And then maybe last year before, she came out with another book that kind of continues it. People say you can read that new one without the original trilogy, but I feel like I'm really happy I read this so that I can get into that book as well. Okay, and then another one I want to pop up is a book that I read entirely on audio because it was a prompt for the reading challenge. And this is called The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. So this is the 4th book in the Truly Devious series. So this series has to do with Stevie, and the original 3 books kind of are more kind of concluding a bigger story arc. And I read those in like 2020 and I really enjoyed them. And it had to do with Stevie and her band of friends at this kind of elite boarding school that had this unsolved mystery from the past, and Stevie claimed, and this is what got her into the school, that she could solve this cold case, if you will. And so you go through a lot of stuff in that first trilogy, but then this moves on to Stevie post all that, everything that came from the conclusion of that original series. And now she's like a little bored. She's stuck at home and she's not back at the campus. And instead, she gets pulled into almost like a different case, a case at a summer camp that has to do with a cold case again of these kids that were murdered in the woods, and there is a box involved. It's kind of like a hunting blinds, I think is what they're called, and everything that has to do with that. So she's pulled in by kind of the director or the owner of the camp to solve it. And it's fun because the old characters come, like all her old friends, and things happen, and her character is still consistent. I like that there's some good anxiety rep around our main character of Stevie, but it was just a fun, good time, a fast YA murder mystery type book, and I highly recommend the whole series, honestly. I think there's one more that I need to read, but irregardless, it's easy to get back into the world. And so I gave this book 4 stars. It was super fun. It was a fun read. And then the last book that I just finished, I finished last night, and I am honestly still processing a bit of my feelings towards this book. I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. So this is a prequel book to the Hunger Games trilogy. This focuses on President Snow as he was in the academy. So he's like 17, 18, like he's about to graduate the Capitol Academy and start his brilliant life, right? And it focuses around the 10th Hunger Games. And this was the first year where they decided maybe we're gonna have mentors that are students. And so he gets assigned to the District 12 girl named Lucy Gray. And you follow this process, right? And I feel like there were many things that were good because you're getting some backstory on an important character from the Hunger Games, right? You're like, how did President Snow become President Snow? I'm struggling with, did this book answer that question? And for me, not entirely. I really liked his character in here. Like, I felt sympathy for him, not too much. Like, I don't feel like she went too far, but I don't feel like she went far enough to make me believe that the character that was written in this book would become the President Snow of the later trilogy. Like, I liked this character entirely too much. Yes, there's some gray. Yes, there's some things of his belief systems, and I did appreciate a lot of that. I appreciated watching him formulate some opinions that could result in his later future self. And maybe that's the thing, is you just have to trust that from year 18 to year 50 or whatever age he is in the future books is enough for him to be totally corrupt, because I feel like he wasn't totally corrupt. He wasn't even close. I'm trying not to give spoilers, and hopefully that wasn't. I don't think that really was, because really the book is about that 10th Hunger Games, him helping his tribute, and then what happens from there. And that's what I'm really excited that I am reading this as like a read-along on Patreon, on Gwen's Patreon, because I want to chat about all the other things. I want to chat about so many aspects of the book, but that's my general overall feel of it. I mean, I feel like it was maybe a touch long, but it's hard because I feel like the purpose of this book is to craft the psyche of a character, right? You're trying to get in somebody's head to see how they could become a future villain, right? This is a villain origin story. I kind of go back and forth because I understand the length of this, this is significantly longer than the other ones. It's like 500 pages. And I feel like the others were like more in the 350, sort of maybe 400, I'm not sure. But it is much longer. And so I feel like I'm landing at a 3.5, 4 stars. And so I'm not sure if I'm gonna give it a 3-star or a 4-star. I still need to sit on this a little bit. But as for did I enjoy reading it? Yes. Did I totally believe it? No. So those are my hesitancies. I'm not sure. I feel like this got a lot of kind of mixed reviews when it initially came out. One thing I'm really happy I did is I'm really happy I have recently read the original 3 and really enjoyed them. I really did. It was one of my favorite parts of this first part of the year was reading the Hunger Games, and I talked about that in my mid-year freakout tag. And so I'm definitely glad I read it. I'm really excited there's going to be a 5th book coming out sometime. I've already forgotten, but I love that. It's going to be Haymitch's story, and I'm getting it for sure. I'm totally getting it. So anyway, that is what I read in June. It was a weird month, you guys. I read most of these books before June 10th. I am excited for my July plans, which should have been the last video that went up because I'm excited to just kind of mood read, go on vacation, enjoy some books. And so yes, that is what I have. And if you all made it this far and have nothing necessarily to say about all of these books, though I would love your comments and thoughts, especially on this book. Let me know your thoughts. But if you have nothing you want to necessarily say and want to just leave me an emoji, let's do a bird for songbirds. My head is still very much in this book. I'm still very much processing this. But otherwise, I hope you all are well. I hope you're having a good summer so far. And I will see you guys in the next book video. All right, take care, friends.